Kelly Krauskopf. She left NBA for Fever as Caitlin Clark's explosion transformed the league. This story is part of the Indy Star Project Only Woman in the Room: How Indy Became Top City in Nation for Women Sports Execs. Indianapolis. No one was paying attention back in those days, says Indiana Fever president Kelly Krauskopf. Nobody outside of the very small, hardcore WNBA fan base cared that her team had just pulled off a remarkable 12-year playoff appearance streak, a league record. That was the Tamika Catchings era. Imagine if it were the Caitlin Clark era, the Fever making 12 straight playoff appearances and winning a title, which Catchings did in 2012. Krauskopf knows what that would mean to today's WNBA, to today's Fever fans and the rest of the world who is now paying attention, and who should have been paying attention when Catchings was playing still. Krauskopf doesn't mince words when asked, "How big of a deal do you think Caitlin Clark has been to the explosion of the WNBA?" Let's be honest. Caitlin Clark is the explosion of the WNBA. The lift has come with her arrival, Krauskopf said. It always takes one or two players to take that next lift. And for us and for the league, it's been Caitlin and the fan base that she's brought. And so now, with Krauskopf once again at the helm of the Fever, after spending 6 years as the Pacers' assistant general manager, she has set a big goal. Actually, it's her mission. To get her franchise back to that Catchings era, but this time with the world watching. "I want the Fever to beat that 12-year playoff record, to become a generational franchise that kids grow up and talk about, like they did with the Colts or Pacers," Krauskopf said. That they remember their first game, and they've got their first ticket or their first hat. Most of all, Krauskopf wants to revive the magic that began in 2005 when that playoff streak began. That was special to me because during those years, we were still growing a league. We were still growing as a franchise. And to remain at the top is difficult. It's hard to get there, but it's even harder to stay there, she said. Now, we have this team and this franchise and this league that has really become a part of the American sports conscious. That was something Krauskopf wasn't sure she would ever get to witness. I mean, somewhere along the way, I knew it was coming. I didn't know if it was going to be during my generation of leadership, but I knew it was coming, she said. I just didn't know when. I wish someday they would just talk about us. Krauskopf has long been a champion of women's sports. As a basketball player at Texas A&M in the early era of Title IX, the women's locker room was tucked away beneath the bleachers, and it was hideous. The women on the Texas A&M basketball team in 1980, still not part of the NCAA, their program in its beginning stages, painted the locker room themselves with paint bought by Coach Cherry Rapp with her own money. Their duffel bags were held together with sports tape left over from whatever, more important, sport was done with it. Krauskopf remembers going with her team to JCPenney to search for the cheapest gym bags they could find. They were bright turquoise blue, which didn't come close to matching their maroon and white uniforms, but the players finally had new bags. Bought with their own money. And, you know, we wore the exact same uniform for every single season, Krauskopf said. Literally, the same uniform. The women played their games at 5 p.m., before the men. The gym would be sprinkled with fans, but, after halftime, the women would look up to packed stands. Those people were there waiting to watch the men play. Krauskopf, who was told right out of college she wasn't right for a sports television job because women don't know how to cover sports, went on to manage rosters, build teams, balance budgets, and negotiate trades at the highest levels of basketball. When the WNBA was formed in 1996, Krauskopf was there from its inception, starting her career with the league as the first director of basketball operations at the headquarters in New York City. When Indy was named an expansion city a few years later, Krauskopf got a call from Donnie Walsh. The Pacers president and general manager wanted Krauskopf to come to Indy to lead the Fever as general manager.